All right, let's dive into something pretty intense. We're going to unpack the story of a nation getting hit with not one, but two economic knockout punches, all within a single decade. This is what happens when a country's entire financial foundation just crumbles.
So let me ask you something. What happens when money just becomes worthless? I mean, really think about that. Everything you've saved, the cash in your pocket, poof, it's just paper. For an entire country, this wasn't some thought experiment. It was real life. Okay, so to get how this could even happen, we've got to rewind a bit. Picture Germany right after World War I, in the early 1920s. The country is, well, it's on shaky ground, to say the least. It's trying to recover, but it's incredibly fragile. And that vulnerability, that weakness, it basically laid the groundwork for an absolute economic disaster.
And boom, here comes the first punch. We're talking about the hyperinflation nightmare. And listen, this wasn't just, oh, prices are a little high. No, this was a total meltdown of their money. A moment where cash itself just stopped having any real meaning. Just try to wrap your head around that. Your life savings, everything you worked for, tucked away for years, just gone. Like overnight. That's exactly what hyperinflation did. It didn't just hurt people. It completely wiped out the savings of an entire nation, erasing financial security for millions in what felt like the blink of an eye. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures how completely absurd things got. I mean, this is not an exaggeration. People were literally getting paid with wheelbarrows full of cash. And the craziest part? By the time you push that wheelbarrow to the store, the value of that money could have dropped so much that you couldn't even afford a loaf of bread. And this is the human cost, right? This wasn't some number on a chart. We're talking about real families struggling to buy food, grandparents watching their retirement funds, their life's work just evaporate. It was pure chaos. Imagine living in a world where your money was worth less every single hour. So you'd think after all that, things would have to get better, right? Well, just as Germany starts to pull itself out of that hyperinflation mess and get back on its feet, the world economy is about to get hit by a massive earthquake. They barely had a moment to breathe before the next crisis came knocking. And here it is, punch number 2. And this one's a totally different beast. But man, it was just as brutal. The Great Depression rolls in. And now the problem isn't worthless money. The problem is there are no jobs anywhere. And the sheer scale of this is just mind-boggling. Millions. Millions of people suddenly unemployed. Factories just shut their doors. Businesses went bankrupt. The entire economic engine of the country just seized up and stopped. It was a total standstill. So here's the key difference, and it's super important. With hyperinflation, you had tons of money that was useless. Now with the Depression, money was worth something again, but nobody had any. Two totally different problems, but they both led to the exact same place: massive, widespread suffering and desperation. So, put yourself in their shoes. Your country has been through 2 complete economic meltdowns in less than a decade. What do? You start questioning everything. The pain was so deep that people were just desperate for answers, for anyone, anything that offered a glimmer of hope. And this is the moment the economic crisis bleeds over and becomes a massive political crisis. Why? Because people looked at their democratic government, the Weimar Republic, and they blamed it. In their eyes, the system had failed them, horribly, not just once, but twice. And their trust in democracy, it was completely shattered. This really lays out the choice that a lot of people felt they had. On one hand, you've got democracy, which felt slow, ineffective, and frankly like it had no answers. But then, on the other hand, you have this call for a strong leader, someone promising quick, simple solutions and a whole new path forward. And when you've been suffering for that long, you can see how tempting that promise would be. It sounded powerful. And so this whole story leaves us with a really tough question, one that's just as relevant today as it was 100 years ago. It shows us how fragile our faith in any system can be when our economic security is ripped away. It really makes you wonder, when people feel like they've lost everything, what are they willing to give up just to feel safe again?